Aaron Kinder. You met some truly badass dudes over the years from a SOG perspective. Have you ever taken any real cool training courses because of that? I have met a lot of cool people. I've gotten to do a lot of really cool shit because of those people. Like we've done ship takedowns, we've been in helicopters, we've done rappelling off of smokestacks, we've done power plant takedowns, with dozens of people. We did bus takedowns, how to disable a bus, how to unpressure. The doors are under pressure and you can't just open the doors. You raise the hatch on the back. There's this thing that looks like a cylinder, a piston, a valve, and you pull this knob out and it disables the bus and unpressurizes the doors so that you can enter the doors. We got to do a lot of that shit. Hook and climb on ships, I never underway, and then just how to do takedowns inside of ship vessels and stuff. It was cool. We did get to do a lot of that stuff because of the SOTG guys, which Scully was a part of. Dallas Shaw and Kurt Gosney and a bunch of those guys with the Marine Corps. And then we went to private training and a lot of SWAT competitions and stuff where we did some of that stuff also. So I got to do some really cool shit. And then like land warfare with some of the SEAL platoons when they were calling call for fire and aircraft and stuff. John Witherspoon, with all this going on in the world today, you were an early adopter, put together a team with multi-talents, retreat, food on the hoof, water taken care of, but you've always been a driving force. Now you see and feel yourself losing a step with age. Do you continue forcing on and hoping all will continue to follow, or do you promote someone else to the group to take the lead? I don't feel myself losing a step. Like, it's not my age right now at 50 it's not keeping me from anything. Will I promote somebody? No. If something happens, somebody else will hopefully rise to that position out of necessity. But I'm not operating as though the world is falling apart. I'm not operating as though my commerce is going to turn off. I am operating as though maybe that could happen, but I really don't believe that it's going to. You see so many people sucking all the money out of everything they have and out of their businesses to put into the homesteading shit. And I really believe if society does not collapse, those people that's where they're at. They're never going to go beyond that. I think that you still need to build your businesses and build your revenue streams. I'm 50 years old, and every year that I can remember of my life, there is something that's going to end the world. How many times have they told us that an asteroid might hit the world? How many times have they told us that this is the big solar flare that might knock out all the power in the world? Shit, I've seen that every fucking week this year. Some sunspot, or there might be a major CME, right? But it hasn't happened. And what I'm always curious, not you, John, but I'm always curious when people have these conversations, if it is just they're looking for permission for lower performance. If you truly believe that the end of the world is coming, why are you paying your property taxes? If you truly believe the end of the world is coming, why are you paying the IRS? If you truly believe those things, why didn't you max out all your credit cards and buy the things you think you need and just stop paying any of your bills? It's because you don't. Because you still believe that there is some possibility that the end of the world is not here and that society is not collapsing. I believe society is changing. I don't believe society is collapsing. And I'm still continuing to build and have revenue come in so that I can employ all these people and still live how I want to live. I want to make enough money and continue to build money and continue to buy things so that if we do have to do this over here, we do it on a much more comfortable level, if that makes sense.
I kind of had that conversation with myself today on the way here, because I was thinking about we're trying to save a bunch of money, so if something happens, we will be in a position to make more money. Like everybody always talks about, this is where you can add a zero to your net worth if you're ready, that kind of stuff. But also, I need to spend money on being prepared for certain things, and I was trying to decide. So where do I think things are actually going to be? Like, if it's the complete end of the world, I need to not save any money, just like you were saying, and get everything we need. But it's probably not going to be like that. Where do I think it'll be, and where do I need to prepare for? And I was like having that conversation.
So what's
with
the answer?
I don't really like basic stuff that we already do, like extra food, a way to heat the house, that kind of stuff. And then above that, there is a next level that I haven't thought about yet. But that's where, just make sure everything's straight for it's like the 3 hours, 3 days.
So I was just going to say,
yeah.
I was just going to say that. Look at it as threes.
Mm-hmm.
3 seconds, 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 days, right?
Yeah.
We know that your power has gone out before, right? So solar generator would be good. Gasoline generator would be good. I'd love to see you with a multi-fuel, right? So you could run propane tanks or gasoline.
Yeah, so
right?
For electricity, I definitely need something like that. But even like on a little bit of a smaller scale, I've got a fireplace that is supposed to be hooked up to a propane tank. That needs to get taken care of like within the next few weeks, because not only is it, if the end of the world happens, I can heat the house, but when winter comes, I can.
Do you have a propane tank on the property?
No, I need to get one.
Has there ever been one?
I don't think so there, but it's plumbed for that. Most of the neighbors have, it looks like 100 gallons or 100 pounds, whatever. I was thinking about something bigger, but I don't know.
So here's your problem with that, right? Mm-hmm. Your fireplace is not in a smaller room. It's in the bigger room.
Yes.
So if you're going to use that to heat the house, it's not going to blow. Most of those probably have blowers on them.
I don't know.
So is there a switch you turn the fireplace on also?
I haven't seen it. That was like, I don't know anything about it.
So
I haven't touched
when it comes time for emergencies and we're heating, you're going to bring the kids, you're going to put their mattresses on the floor in your room, and then you're just going to have a buddy heater in there, or you're going to have a kerosene heater or something like that. I wouldn't even fuck with that fireplace that runs on propane.
Yeah.
I would get you some buddy heaters.
We have those.
And I would get you a 15, 25-foot hose or something, and I would run bulk cylinders. I would, rather than buy and you can buy a big bulk cylinder. The problem with a big bulk cylinder is it's a fucking big bulk cylinder, and when you fill it, it's heavy, right? You got to move it with a dolly or something.
Yeah, and I don't have a truck.
The 25s, your wife can move those fucking barbecue tanks around. And yeah, they're expensive. If you go buy a new one, they're $50, and then you got to get them filled and shit. But you can, if you watch Craigslist and Marketplace, you will see a dude that's got 10 of them. He just, I want them off the even if they're expired and they're the old fitting, then you take them to Walmart and you exchange them through the Blue Rhino shit.
Yeah.
And they give you current tanks that are filled, and it's $18 to swap that out.
Yeah.
So I would rather see you with a bunch of cylinders, just because they're easier to move. If we've got to move them, if we got to leave the house, we can throw a couple of them in the bed of the truck. You're probably not going to take that 100-gallon cylinder with you.
No, not at all.
And then water, right? Water cubes. Just have some water fucking stored up. You've seen in the bathroom hallway there's fucking hundreds of gallons of water in 7 and 5 gallon containers, right?
Yep.
Those tan ones, I can get you those tan ones on wholesale, and you can drive over those with a truck when they're full of water. We literally drove over them with the F-250.
So, the smaller is more convenient for sure. But if I put hose water into an IBC tote and left it in the garage, so it's like out of the sun and stuff, is that okay?
Yes.
Because it's chlorinated, so it should
It's
be
okay if you leave it outside.
Yeah, well, I don't know where I would put it.
Right, but yes, it is. But if you put an IBC tote inside, that's 4 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet. That's a lot of room in a garage when you start filling the garage up.
Yeah.
I don't know how big my garage. You see, my garage is 4,000 feet. And the last fucking thing I want in there is an IBC tote.
Yeah.
But if you have to hide that you're storing water, you absolutely can.
Okay.
Didn't you drink out of hose water as a kid?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like over time. Like,
Not
is
a
there
problem.
some sort of issue over time?
No, it's sealed up.
Yeah.
The water coming out of the hose is chlorinated. City water is chlorinated.
So that's kind of like next level. Like, we have bottles of water and all that stuff, but we don't have enough to last us. I'm thinking 2 totes, one for rainwater and one for hose water, and then we have the rainwater to do everything that we need water for that we're not consuming, and then the hose water to consume.
Sure. Why even fuck with that? Why not just fill it all with a hose?
Because I mean, well, I could, but there is a cost to that. Like if I run the hose,
pennies.
Is it really? I don't know.
Pennies. You're not going to notice it. Water's almost free when it comes out of your fucking faucet while it runs. I leave water on and forget that the hose is on for 24 hours. So I mean, that's a difference, right?
Yeah.
That's a big difference. And I have 180 pounds of pressure. Your water's probably 60 pounds of pressure at best.
Yeah. It's actually pretty low.
And while you're filling, you're not going to notice it. It's going to be $5 or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you're like, well, sustained, utilities are out, not coming back on, totally understand that. But if your sustained, prolonged problem and utilities are out, you need to get the fuck out of where you're at. Like, if you have a problem that exists more than 48 hours, you need to get out of there in that first 48 hours while you can get out of there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What was I had something else to say about that, but I can't remember.
John Hamilton, when do you think you will retire SOE and stop making gear? What will you focus on then? I am retired. That's it. Like, I am retired. When are you going to retire? That's the question, right? I haven't achieved anything fucking great yet. I'm definitely not retiring. I'm going to keep going. When I retire, I'm going to die. Like, that's when you see me retire, I'm going to go die. Like, that's the end of it. I don't plan to stop doing anything I'm doing. And I promise you that everything I'm doing, it's because I want to do it. Like, SOE allows me to do all the shit. Like, I want to stand here and talk to you guys in front of this camera. I'm excited about this black wall over here we built. I'm excited about finishing out this building. I'm excited about bringing multiple more buildings in here. It baffles me when guys ask that all the time. I really feel like they're asking for permission for themselves and they're not asking it of me.
So this has been brought up a lot recently, so it's been on my mind.
I think it's because of James.
Oh, really?
I kind of feel that. I think it's like,
You think you're part of that older group? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, I think so. Like, nobody saw James getting sick. Nobody, and especially at the rate of the decline. I don't think anybody saw that. So they feel mortality now, right?
Yeah.
And they're questioning, have I done in my life what I want to do, right? And did I waste my time? I think that there's a lot of that. And as John Willis, I wasted a ton of time between ages of 30 and 45 for 15 years. If you're like, what would you go back and tell younger self? I would go back to age 30 and tell myself to hurry the fuck up, right? And stop fucking with shit that wasn't important to me. If it's not important, don't do it. And if you're doing it, do it as though it's fucking important. And I think that's where a lot of these questions are coming from, because they knew James, or they knew me, or they were really like, there's multiple circles. I don't think people realize that, right? There's the solid core in the middle, and then there's circles that come out, and there's dudes that were much closer to James in the last few years than I was. Just sheer time, just being in vehicles with him and being, with him, as traveling and stuff.
Yeah.
And, James stopped asking me because I wasn't going, but, he was always like, hey, you want to go on this ride with us? Hey, do you want to go do this? Do you want to go do that? And I think James felt like he was bothering me, because he always said that. I'm like, hey, it's good to see you. He goes, yeah, I always feel like I'm bothering you when I come by here. When you come by, you'd be here for an hour, 2-3 hours, right? And I feel like James brought people with him when they were in town to make sure that I was in contact with them, right? He knew, because he knew that I knew John Lovell. But like, when he came by here, they were here a couple hours, and John's like, James, I don't think they're doing vehicle tactics here. He's like, no, of course they're not. I brought you here because I wanted you to fucking talk to John. And that's what it was. Like, when they got in the car, he thought they were going out to the vehicle tactics class, and James brought him here to make sure that we had that closer connection.
Yeah.
And that was just a few weeks ago.
To anybody listening to this video, that I understand, you don't like, oh, I don't want to go by, I don't want to bother John. When he says you're not bothering me, he means that. Like, you always talk about, when you're in town, come say hi, tell me who you are so I remember who you are. Like, there is some, because you're busy all the time, people do feel like they're bugging you, but you're not doing anything to make them feel that way, so they need to understand that it's not.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if it's off limits, the gates will be closed.
Yeah. Yeah, like, don't hop the fence.
Don't hop the fence, man. There's stuff here that will harm you. Like, for real, don't hop the fence.
But what I was going to say, so it was on my mind about this retiring situation, and, like, I'm way too young to even have that conversation, but there's never been a time in my life where I wasn't trying to accomplish something, like a next level thing. And retirement, to me, seems like that's the end of trying to accomplish stuff, and that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't sound like anything that's worth trying to get to, you know? Like, just keep going and keep trying to be better.
So James said, I'm going to use this body up till the end, and I'm going to go out kicking and screaming, right? Mm-hmm. And he did. Like, if you watch the last year of James, when it irritated me when dudes are like, how's James? I'm like, because I wanted to be like, why don't you fucking know how James is, right? Mm-hmm. Why aren't you out there doing shit with James, right? Anybody with a motorcycle could have went on any of those rides with James, but they want to ask me about James, right? Mm-hmm. And I got hundreds of, hey man, sorry for your loss, but those people aren't doing anything for the family. They're not going to come out and take a class. They're not going to come out here and, you know, help. You're not going to see them. Mm-hmm. We are going to see a lot of people show up to pay respect for whatever reason that James wouldn't have let here. You're going to see a lot of people that were excommunicated that are going to show back up, and I don't know what the hopes is. There's been people that have shown up and literally knocked on the door and been like, hey, James has some of my stuff I left here, can I look through the safe? No, you can't. James tried to contact you for 4 fucking years. We literally thought you were dead. Mm-hmm. And now you want to come in while there's nobody to verify any of this. No, that, like, James already got rid of the thing we're talking about. James already got rid of the shit. Mm-hmm. Like, we really thought the dude was dead. So there's just crazy shit. And I think that's why they're asking me about the retirement thing. I don't know. Like, there's days that I don't have money. Like, there's days that my bank account is at fucking zero. Like, and maybe that's by design because it keeps me motivated. When I am comfortable, I am lazy. I am complacent. I will sit down and fuck with this phone for hours at a time. And before you, like, I'll get up in the morning at 4:30 on a weekend and come out and make a video. And then I'll go inside and get a bunch of fucking work done till about 8 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm going to get back in bed with Amanda. And then I'll sleep till 2. And then I'll get up and I'm like, fuck, it's too hot outside. It's 100 degrees. And before you know it, I'll sit on a sewing machine, listen to some videos. I'll get a workout in, do some cardio, and and then fuck with this phone, right? When I tell you guys, if you're sitting on the fucking toilet and you're like, why are my legs numb? That's because I've sat on the toilet just gonna look and make a YouTube post, make an Instagram post real quick, and before you know it, my fucking legs are numb. So, at the level that I get things done, I have to imagine there are a lot of people who are not operating that level, and I have to imagine that they're doing the exact same thing. So, it just really bothers me when people are like, I don't have time. What really bothers me is when you come in and ask me what you should do, and then you give me excuses while that won't work, right? Mm-hmm. You interjected yourself into my life. I didn't invite you to come in here and get advice. So I'm fine with I don't want to do that. I am not fine with I can't afford to do that, right? Or I can't. I can't and I won't are two different things. And I'm fine with the other in your life. I'm not fine with that in my life, and I'm not fine with your mediocrity inflecting into my life either, or even being near me. You get 3 strikes, right? With me, you get 2 though. If you come in and you ask advice and I give it to you, and then you leave, and then you come in and it's usually it's always the exact same conversations too. Like if you come in and you're like, hey, I need to lose weight. I'm like, cool, I need to lose weight too. And then you come in fucking 6 months later and you say the same thing, but you're 40 pounds heavier. And then I see you a year later, 6 months after the last time, and you look like you're fucking pregnant. I'm done dealing with you until you make a change in your life. I'm not going to be an asshole to you, but I definitely don't have time for you anymore. You have no more access to me. If you show up 6 months later and you look like you fucking, like, you'll hear me tell people, hey man, you look good. Like a noticeable difference. I say that a lot. And I just use that as an example. It can be anything, right? I was at a thing and a guy's like, hey, should I lease or buy this equipment? And, you know, and it's a trip because people always ask me business advice. And when I give them the advice, they're like, well, I don't want to work more than I'm already working. Well, that's why you're poor. Because you don't want to work more than you're already working. That's why you live in a shed. And if that's what you choose, no problem, but I have to assume you don't want to work in I have to assume you don't want to live in the shed because you just asked me how to do what I do and how to make more money. And everybody thinks there's like some lever on a website that you just toggle and I'm going to take Bitcoin so I'm going to make a lot more money. It's not that. You have to fucking work more or you have to achieve more in the time you work. But if you can work more and achieve more in all the time you work, that is really the secret. There's no like magic smoke. There isn't. It's literally fucking use your time. That's all it is. It's just fucking use your time. People come in here to talk to me and I'm like, come on. I can't, like, I stand here. Go find a video where you saw me sit down and do a video. The last time I sat down and did a video was probably the podcast with James and Scully. And I think we shot 3 episodes of that. That's the last time I sat down. When people are here, lady came in here the other day and she's asking about Self-Reliance Festival. And I'm like, you got to go to the website in order. I was on the website. I'm like, at Self-Reliance Festival? She's like, no, I've never been to that site. Okay, well, I don't know where you were at. And then she said something about swales. And I said, do you want to see the swales? So she's like, yes. I'm like, good. I can fucking move now. So we go to the swales. And she's considerably... She's got some weight on her. She says she had congestive heart failure, right? So I'm walking at a quarter of my pace, and she's like, slow down, I can't breathe. We finally got up top. We were in the shade, had an awesome conversation. I spent probably an hour with her. She lives very close here. I'm super happy that she is here, and we are having the conversations that we're having. I definitely think she's an asset. But I have to move. And people come in here that I look at them, I'm like, oh, this dude's in good shape. They can't fucking keep up. And it's not that they can't, it's that they won't keep up, right? I move very quickly. I move over 2 miles every day in this building or on this property. Miranda said she walked, I don't remember what she said. I don't remember what it equated to. Scully had a pace counter on when we first moved in the building before the stairs were in the building. Mm-hmm. And we were doing 5 to 6 miles a day on the property for months. And there was no like flooring in the building. We didn't have the tile in. We didn't have anything in. And I remember I'm like, my fucking legs hurt. Amanda's like, John, you move 5 miles in here. 5 miles on concrete. Mm. And the shoes help and the better socks help for sure. And then the stairs, man. Just last night, every one of those boards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I don't know, there's 20 of them. I had to make 40 cuts. And every time I would hold it up, measure it, mark it with a Sharpie, mm-hmm. and then go down those steps. Those 3 cinder block steps that are like precarious and like that's what's going to kill me is the steps. But from walking up and down them steps 40 times, I felt that shit. Yeah. So it's just urgency, man. Act like everything you're doing is urgent and important. And if it's not important enough to do it with urgency and importance, ask yourself whether you should be doing it, right? There's a difference between moving forward in life and just leisure. And I know a lot of people have that, well, what's it worth working all this time if you can't have some fun and excitement and leisure and relaxation? You and I, we're not the same. And that's the difference. And that's okay. That's okay in your life. That's not okay for my life, and you can't come try to convince me of that. And we can have a conversation, but as soon as you bring that up, we're not on the same wavelength. And that's the difference between the 1% of the people in the world that make the decisions for the other 99% of the people. Whether you realize they do or not, that is part of the difference in those people. I definitely don't want to look like the 1% of the people that run the world. That's for sure. They look fucking sick, and they look like they've been eating tofu and fucking crickets. That's what they look like. But I think shit really is like the movie Snowpiercer. I think shit really Yeah, I think whatever crazy shit you might believe, I believe some shit that's probably beyond anything you've even fathomed as far as the people that run the world. So I'm focused on my world and making my world better. I'm 50. No matter how I look at it, more than half of my life is over. Jack likes to say, I picture the way Jack says it, I picture like big glass sparklets bottles, right? Glass 5-gallon water bottles. And you have a marble in each one. You have a little marble, and it's like glowing blue, right? And you pull it out, you put it in your pocket. And at the end of the day, it's turned red. You take it out of your pocket, you put it over here. And those are your life, right? And when you're running out, of that life, you don't get to make any more of it. And I'm at 50. I have another 10, maybe 20 years to completely set the course of the rest of any of my legacy, right? My children, my future grandkids, anything like that, right? I have to make a difference right now because I didn't before. So retirement's not on the, and this wasn't all directed at you, John, but retirement is nowhere even on the radar.
I'm talking about Willis, one of the realest to try. My family, SOE, got the tools to survive.